Hi, welcome back to Sage Postpartum. We're going to chat all about what a postpartum doula slash naturopathic doula does, because they're definitely a little bit more than like someone who just holds the baby. But yeah, let's go into it. We'll chat about what happens in sessions, what I can do, services, and all sorts of things like that. So, what is a naturopathic doula? Essentially, this is a role. It's not like I made it up. It exists. Like there are other naturopaths who are also both doulas or postpartum doulas, but it basically like combines those two roles. So a doula is someone who is potentially trained to support someone during birth or during that postpartum period. They don't provide medical advice. They're just there as like an emotional support person who maybe knows some tips and tricks to help things progress a little bit smoother. Again, not a medical person. And then a naturopath obviously works with a person's health. They're working on fine tuning things, suggesting supplements and supports and lifestyle changes to make your health or whatever goal you have around that work. So when we put naturopath and doula together, it's obviously going to be someone who's supporting that holistic health goal through the postpartum, or even from preconception through to that postpartum period. They don't necessarily do birth work. I don't do birth work. I do postpartum work, and obviously will support you through pregnancy and preconception as well. So yeah, a blend of doula work and the naturopathy role. Um, if you want to be called a naturopath in Australia, you don't necessarily need to have qualifications. So if you see someone that's calling themselves a naturopath, just check that they are actually registered with a naturopathic association in order to use that term, and like it means something. Um, Naturopaths in Australia have to do a 4-year bachelor degree as well. So it's not like we're just running around saying that, but it's not a registered term yet. So theoretically, someone can legally call themselves a naturopath and not have studied. So please check, do your little fact checks on their websites. If you need to, email them to double check that that is like the person that you're seeking. But yeah, I like the combination, obviously, because I've turned my business into this. Like I like the combination of naturopath and dual. I want to be that tangible postpartum support person, but I also want to incorporate little bits of that naturopathic support to give you a really well-rounded postpartum pregnancy whatever experience. And so no one has that like drop off of connection slash support slash minimizing postpartum depletion, minimizing postpartum depression and anxiety, all of those things comes into this. Um, but it just like supporting moms through that postpartum period, like getting them on their feet essentially, and making sure that they know everything's okay, or like if they have any questions and all of that jazz, but like also just directly supporting them rather than everything being about baby as well. Like obviously baby's important, but mum's really the background work there and she needs that support too. So I like being that person. That's what my goal is. Um, I am also doing some lactation training in the background, but that's not like a right now thing. Give me a year to get on top of that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the blending of the naturopath and the doula work. So how does that look in like real life? Depending on when you get in contact with your person or your doula or whatever, you can contact them when you're pregnant and set everything up. And that can be a bit more involved in like the antenatal sessions where you chat about all of your health history and stuff and like any concerns you have for postpartum slash pregnancy slash birth. You go over like a vision. I often do postpartum planning sessions with clients. So that involves like going through all the aspects of postpartum and even birth. Like if there's complications, what do you want? What support do you think you might need? And then deeper details into that. We also may look at supplements and nutrition support. So looking at the foods that are going to serve you. If there is supplements that are needed, what are the optimal ones for you? Like if you have low iron now, maybe that's something you want to look at in future and like just having those things ready to go. Because ideally, like going into birth and postpartum, you don't want to be in a depleted state. That's just going to make things feel a bit shit. And especially in that postpartum period. And if you're breastfeeding, particularly, this is even more essential, is just getting on top of that nutritional support. If that's with supplements as well, yeah, so that you don't end up in a depleted state and affecting mood, mental health, sleep, everything. We'd also go through lifestyle and self-care planning. Self-care term just like pisses me off now. But anyway, lifestyle planning and self-care planning to make sure that mum is also getting the things that she needs in that period without um, too much of putting herself last. And what that would look like postpartum, what that looks like in pregnancy, what that looks like in birth. We plan all of that stuff if you happen to contact me before birth. If not, we'll do a quick run through postpartum and just see where you're at. And like, I'll suggest some things that we can build on to give you that um, extra fuel for your cup. And then, yeah, we'll take a look deeper into the postpartum period, like planning what does that look like for you? What do you want it to look like, of course? What support people you have, visitors, meal plans, resting, sleep, what the baby setup looks like where is all the baby shit? Where is all your postpartum shit? Breastfeeding support, herbs and nutrients that you might want to look at. Particularly, that's a lot of teas postpartum because they're really gentle and there isn't really a lot you can take if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. So, yeah, just some things that are going to help support you make that postpartum transition a little bit smoother. And then what happens in the physical session when you've had the baby and you've booked your postpartum doula to come through or your naturopathic doula. So for me, that involves a bit of food prep before the session. I like to do that before so we're not wasting like contact time cooking. Although sometimes that's okay, depends what they've booked. So just checking in with the mum, where they're at, how they feel. Is there anything she wants to focus on today? Does she want more support with something specific? Like, how's the whole transition going? How's baby sleeping? How's baby feeding? Obviously, that will affect how mum's sleeping as well. But yeah, just how she's feeling, how she's recovering. Is there anything she wants more specifically around that? Often I will suggest things like herbal sitz baths, sometimes herbal teas, and some more specific foods, depending on what's going on. And then, yeah, we'll bring that into nutritional and herbal support. So some parents or mothers don't really want this, and that's fine. They can just use the postpartum doula service for what it is. But some women are really like, yeah, bring me all the herbs and the naturopath stuff. So I'll often do up like herbal blends. Sometimes I do tonics up, but not as often because postpartum is quite gentle. Everything needs to be very like, yeah, gentle. So infusions, bath salts, sitz baths, herbal teas. Sometimes that involves like magnesiums as well, and specific herbs that are a bit more nervous system focused because it's such a vulnerable time. Some of that will involve herbs and nutrients depending on what they want, as like a womb oil or a massage oil for the stomach to help with reducing inflammation, and just easing some of those postpartum cramps, and the whole healing process. Some of that will be hormone work. It just kind of depends on what the mum's up to and if she is breastfeeding or not. Obviously, that will change a few things. But yeah, really, it's meeting her where she is at, what support she actually wants, and what's going to benefit her in that situation. So in terms of the food and the nourishment part, again, I do bring meals and snacks with me. It's not going to fulfill like your whole week's worth in between sessions, but like it's just a little bit of stuff pre-prepared so you don't have to do anything. A lot of that will be warming, nourishing stews. If you like curries, I do curries a lot because they feature a lot of turmeric and like ginger, and warming spices. Often the snacks will be galactagogue supports as well, so they'll have things like brewer's yeast, fenugreek, and some other bits and pieces in there, like lots of oats and stuff like that to support energy production, breastfeeding, and milk supply. Um, And then once I'm into that session, we'll have a look at all the house stuff, where she's at with that. Like, does she need some extra support with laundry, tidying? Does she want to deep clean something and she can't physically do it? Prepping some extra stuff, making the tea, getting her the snack, giving her the snack, letting her like have some intentional time, not worrying about something else and just chilling out with baby. Sometimes that can also look like attending appointments with her, doing some exercise if there's like more than one child in the family, or there's a lot of animals and she's like not quite sure how to go. Sometimes it is deep cleaning certain areas that she's not going to get to. Sometimes it's just like clearing out the whole fridge and starting again. It just really depends on what she wants to accomplish that day and what's going to benefit her the most. It's definitely not baby-centric support. I know there's obviously a lot of health professionals that work with mums and do have a more baby-centric focus. Obviously, that's like with child health nurses. Every time they go to the GP for a checkup, it's like often the mother gets overlooked, and I want to solidify that this is not that. This is all about the mum. There's a little bit of baby stuff in there, like obviously, but it's all about her and what she needs during that postpartum period. Sometimes I will strap the baby in a carrier or a wrap and they can sleep on me while mum goes and gets a rest or showers or washes her hair or whatever. It depends what she wants and if the baby's in that really like touchy-feely part of development, or if they're still super newborn sleepy and they'll chill in the bassinet. Like, just depends. I do also offer baby wearing education. So I've done my certificate through Australian Baby Wearing Association. So if they have a carrier and they're having trouble figuring that out, just know that there is someone who has the certification to support you and get that comfort fit or suggest something that might work a little bit better for their situation. We always have a chat at some point during the session that's a bit more emotional and like just connecting a bit more and having, some adult conversations. Um, Obviously that can get really deep. It just depends on the mum. Like sometimes it's just a brief over of like how she's feeling or how her birth experience went. Again, just depends where we're at. Obviously it's a more like emotional, intimate connection, which is great for building rapport, but doesn't have to happen. It's all what she's comfortable with, obviously. And then postpartum protocol and tracking. So like where she should be at with her recovery, like an expected kind of timeline for that. When she should reintroduce certain things, when she needs to go get like things checked, like her iron levels, her thyroid, what kind of like expectations she should have around that postpartum recovery and baby's development as well. And then checking in, depending on how many sessions she's booked, checking in after that as well. So clearly that differs a little bit between just a regular doula and a regular naturopath. There's a bit of mixture there. But yeah, I just wanted to go over all of those things and kind of like give you a really good visual of what that looks like in person, um, versus just having a read through of like services or something, or like trying to guess what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm bringing in that naturopathic understanding of herbs, of healing of the body and how it works, and nutrients that might be more on demand in those areas. And then bringing in that doula side of things, which is definitely more of like the emotional, the tangible support. And then, yeah, depending on where she's at with that, whatever else she needs, that's within the scope of those two roles. Because obviously a naturopath can provide some medical information and some medical suggestions and stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of depends on what the mum wants out of that. Some don't want the naturopath stuff. Some just want the doula. Some are happy to have anything they can get. So let's do some frequently asked questions. So naturopath stuff is generally all evidence-based. That's where I'm at as a practitioner. I use traditional evidence as evidence, But especially when it comes to pregnancy and breastfeeding, it needs to be evidence-based. I need to be able to know that what I'm going to prescribe or suggest to that mum will do no harm. That's part of my association like regulations. And I also want to know that it's actually going to benefit her because there's no point me prescribing something if it's not really going to do what I want it or her or what she wants it to do. So yeah, I will take into account all of those things. If they're on medication, like I will look at contraindications and stuff, or I will refer on if it's something that's not in my scope of practice. So yeah, a doula can't do that. They can't provide medical advice, but as a naturopathic doula, I can. Um, and the other thing about this is though, like obviously doula and naturopath as their own roles are a little bit more on the luxury side of things. I know cost of living is intense. Obviously, I can feel it too. But yeah, there's always the options with payment plans and stuff if you're not quite sure, or casual sessions. I've had a lot of mums be gifted sessions as well, so it's always a good one for baby showers and stuff like that. And then like how long does that support last is really up to the mum and like where they're at with that. I have had some book casual sessions, so they're just kind of as needed. And then I've set up packages for others who want like a more predetermined time, which really helps with like the scheduling. But yeah, that really kind of sums it up. Um, so it's definitely not just baby cuddles on my end. It's like everything else but baby cuddles, although I will happily take baby cuddles. A naturopathic doula can be a guide to your healing and your recovery, but also a companion through that postpartum period on a more emotional level as well, and just helping you settle into your role as mum or mum again, second time, third time, fourth time, whatever. Um, but yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to know, please get in contact. I'm happy to answer questions. But yeah, definitely have a look at the packages if you're not sure, or if it's something that you want, or if anyone you know is having a baby, just send them a little link. Be like, hey, you might like this. And if not, I'm always happy to do like the herbal side of things. I have a lot of that on my website as well. So if anyone's keen to do some postpartum support, but they don't necessarily want the doula side of things, there's so many options. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening.